Yo, have you heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, Buckeye Football Edition. You heard that right, Buckeye Football Edition. We have our first Ohio State Buckeyes football podcast as we are going to be previewing the season a little bit today as the season starts literally 7 days from when we're recording right now. It starts next Thursday on September 2nd. So we are literally 7 days out from the season. So you know him. You know this is one of his bread and butters, his individual segment, the captain, Byron Mitchell. How are you doing today, sir?
I am fantastic. Woke up ready to record some Buckeyes. We're back, baby.
We're back, and we are getting the Thursday night game on Fox, 8 p.m. at Minnesota. Just a little small recap, Byron. Obviously, we went to the college football playoffs last year. We got the vengeance that you and I spoke about since the beginning of the season against Clemson. Unfortunately, we ran into that buzzsaw, what is just Alabama's offense, especially Devontae Smith. And we didn't win the national championship. We were runner-up. And then, obviously, we lost a lot of talent. Justin Fields, obviously, was a top 20 draft pick. So we've had a huge quarterback battle. Just a couple of days ago, we named our starting quarterback C.J. Stroud. And right now, Byron, we're going in first. Our first game's a Big Ten game on the road Thursday night, so all eyes are going to be on us. What are you expecting from this Buckeye team, C.J. Stroud? Like, what are you looking at for this team?
I know we're going to start off slow because we have a new quarterback. Like you said, we had a lot of guys leave on offense and defense last year. So I'm expecting us to start slow. I think it'll be a good back and forth game, as we're trying to get our feet wet, especially with CJ Stroud. We do have our two top wide receivers returning, Chris Olave, CO2, and Garrett Wilson. I know they're going to make some big explosive plays because they've done that a lot last year. So I think it'll be a good game. I think we will win. But I'm expecting us, like I said, a slow start, and we'll eventually get it probably in the second half.
I think that was one of the biggest breaks for the Buckeyes that CO2 decided to stay.
Yes.
I said we all thought he was going to the draft, and when we wrote that thing saying he was coming back, we're like, hold on. So we're getting another year of Olave, Garrett Wilson. We have some younger wide receivers, Marvin Harrison's son and them coming up. We have our tight end, Jeremy Ruckert, set. And Master Teague is still there. I know they're still going to be – they might do running back by committee. We'll see who's starting there. But our offensive line, we lost a couple guys, but we still have some all-stars over there with Munford, who's back. Nick Pietfrey is good on the left tackle. So, dude, I think our offense is really set.
I think it is.
It's just the quarterback because, like you said, it's a new quarterback, and we've had this thing where in Ryan Day, we've gone from Haskins, Fields, both been blowing out passing records galore, especially with the Day offense. So it's like, I don't think it's boastful because we were in Buckeye Nation, but I do think Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are the two best wide receivers in the entire country.
Yes, now that Devontae Smith is gone.
And Waddle's gone.
Yep. And Waddle, yep. And that one from Indiana, Freifogel, he's gone too.
Yeah, he was busting our butts.
Yeah, so I think we have the best two in the country.
So it's almost one of those things with like CJ, and he's athletic, not to mess this up. Because there will be some growing pains, and we're going to go over the schedule a little bit to try and find, the Buckeyes of the past 6 years. There's always one game where we're just like, this is going to be
trap game.
So I just think that's going to be, I think the offense will be all right. But the past couple of years, though, besides the one where Chase was second place in the Heisman, the defense has been a little suspect for us. We've given up. We almost gave up 70 points to Alabama just last at the championship game. We've had we've had Iowa score 50 something on us in recent years. Obviously, Purdue almost had 49 on us.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you expecting out of the defense this year? Now that Shaun Wade's gone, we still have some good defensive ends. We're waiting to see who's going to be the next up. We've went Bosa, Young. So who's going to be our next? Is it going to be Tyreek Smith, Zach Harrison? Is the super recruit Jack Sawyer going to do things? Like, what's our defense going to do? That's my main concern.
The defense is always a concern with the Buckeyes because, like you said, we've given up a lot of points to some teams in the past couple of years. I don't know. After that first game, I think we'll be able to tell how the defense is. I hope that our cornerbacks step it up this year, so we're not giving over 200 plus yards to wide receivers. That, not saying that we shouldn't give up to 200, but like you got to keep wide receivers in check. Devontae Smith, Fobo, they both torched us in the Alabama and Indiana game.
The Penn State wide receivers smoked us too, even though we beat them pretty handily.
Yes, he did too. So I'm always confident in our defensive ends and our D line. It's just that secondary that gives me concern.
Yeah, and Shaun Wade was supposed to be the next Buckeye #1 corner DB, and he was not up to snuff of what we're used to as like a #1 DB. Like I think he was better when he was Roman, when he was safety a year before, but when they moved him to corner, it hurt. It hurt our team, and it hurt his draft stock because people were talking about he could have been a higher up pick if besides the performances they've seen him with. So I'm wondering who's going to be the next OSU #1 lockdown corner.
I don't know. I don't think we have had one in a couple of years. I don't think it was the last time we had a lockdown corner. Probably Okudah, yeah.
Yeah, Okudah. Because no one was getting past him. And then we had Chase. Like, that's the thing. And we got Kerry Combs. So we're going to see. I'm reading on College Football News that they're probably going to run a 4-2-5, which extra safety on it. But I think with the defense, and I know what people are thinking, like, oh, we're in the Big Ten, whatever. But we allowed 304 yards per game. Like,
that's insane.
In pass coverage.
Oh, that was just pass coverage?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So we're really going to have to step that up. But, we're in the Big Ten, so we'll see. And when we talk about this, if you guys have listened to our football ones, we're always focused on the conference, but we're always also thinking about what's going on around us because we expect to be at least fighting for a playoff spot, let alone getting one. So, like, when we're getting mid-season and we're harping on the defense, even though we've won by 25, we're like, well, that defense, what's that going to do against Alabama?
Right.
What's that going to do against Clemson? Those are what we're looking at. We know what this team is capable of, but we're measuring up against other people across the country. Byron, preseason ranking-wise, they had us at 4th in the AP and the coaches. Were you okay with that?
They always rank Ohio State lower than I expect them to. Like, I'm not sure why we're not number 2, even though because we literally only lost to Alabama last year.
Yep.
And they won the national championship, so I think the runner-up should be ranked number 2. I think they have Clemson and Georgia ahead of us.
In the AP top 25, I'll just do the top 5 for y'all. We had Alabama 1, Oklahoma 2, Clemson 3, OSU 4, Georgia 5. In the coaches poll, it was Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Oklahoma 3, Ohio State 4, Georgia 5. So Oklahoma was ahead of us in both. They were 3 in coaches, 2 in AP, and I'm like, what?
I guess they see something in Oklahoma that I don't see, but
they believe in Spencer Rattler that much.
I mean, he is one of the, I think, top 5 Heisman candidates, along with CJ Stroud.
Which is wild that CJ is already a candidate. I was like, sometimes I don't like how those go because then someone just comes out of nowhere and takes the trophy. But yeah, Clemson, I was kind of shocked. I mean, I was shocked with both of them. I thought we should have been 2 because Clemson, they're replacing a superstar quarterback too.
Yeah.
With Trevor gone and DJ, who he did play in the Notre Dame game. I know he set the passing yards record for an opponent at Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, but they're still replacing Trevor. And Oklahoma, I mean, when's the last time Oklahoma's been truly relevant in the playoff discussion?
Probably the year they went to the playoffs.
With Kyler? Was that they went with Kyler once, if I remember.
I believe it was Kyler.
And then they got smoked.
Right.
And then they went the year with Baker because Baker was the year where they had the epic game against Georgia and they lost.
Yep.
But usually,
twice.
Yeah, they've gone twice. But usually Oklahoma they don't deliver like in this playoff era. They'll lose to Iowa State, and then they're out. And speaking just a little bit on them, Byron, since we've been away, Oklahoma and Texas go into the SEC, and I know we've been puzzled by that, and we just came down to halves because of money.
It has to be because of money, because I don't like you are the top 2 teams in the Big 12. Now, granted, that's not saying much, but you're the top 2 teams in the Big 12. Why would you want to go to the powerhouse that is the SEC if it's not for money?
Especially Texas. Texas has been terrible.
Right.
They have not been good since Colt McCoy left.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Like they're thinking they're going to go compete over there. If you can't even win your own thing in the Big 12, you think you're just going to walk in there and win the SEC? That's wild to me. Oklahoma is obviously better than Texas, but it's like, what are we doing? Like, if the playoffs stay at 4 for a little bit longer, I think we all think it's going to go to 8 soon. But if it stays at 4, you just screwed yourself.
Right. Because you have to beat over Alabama, Georgia, LSU,
Texas A&M,
Florida.
That's 5 teams.
That's 5 teams right there that you had to compete with to at least get a top 4 spot.
And then you saw that news about like the Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12 doing their alliance or whatever the hell they're calling it. I think it was just a answer back to the SEC. There's nothing formal about it, but we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're number 4 in the both AP and coaches. We all know that these rankings do matter, but it's when we get those first college football playoff rankings when we really have to start paying attention.
Yep, week 8.
And week 8, let us see who we will be playing in week 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Week 8, and that will be against Penn State.
Always a good game. Is it at Penn State?
This one is in Columbus.
Oh, in Columbus. Okay.
Well, Byron, let's go to the schedule. Let's go to the Buckeye schedule.
All right, let's go to the Buckeye schedule.
So let's go through these games a little bit. Obviously, we'll do our bigger previews once these games come. But just looking at our schedule right now, we start off against Minnesota at night. Then the second game is versus Oregon, 12 p.m. And we've already talked about that. Oregon is ranked 11th in the AP, and they are ranked 12th in the coaches. And if Oregon wins, I'll probably be a top 10 matchup. So that's a super big matchup for us right off the bat.
Yep.
Then we have Tulsa, Akron, Rutgers, Maryland. This is a part where I'm a little not concerned, but then after Maryland, we go at Indiana and then play Penn State. And we saw how tough Indiana played us last year.
Yeah, they were right on the cusp.
So then we go Indiana, Penn State, Nebraska, Purdue, which we know the history with Purdue's, and Michigan State and Michigan. So Byron, out of that schedule, like what are you expecting? Like what matchups are you a little bit concerned about? Trap gaming. Obviously, we have a huge one September 11th in the shoe against Oregon, and that place is going to be rocking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But what any games sticking out to you?
The two games that concern me is Indiana and Penn State because one, they're back to back. So either one could be a trap game. Like you said, Indiana played well against us last year. The Penn State wide receiver, I'm not sure if he is still there, but he played well against us last year. And Penn State is always a tough matchup, whether it's at the shoe or whether it's a whiteout at Penn State. They're always a tough matchup. And just to have those two games back to back is concerning.
Yeah, because they'll be traveling to Penn State. No, they'll be traveling to Indiana on October 23rd. And then Saturday, October 30th, they'll be playing Penn State in Columbus. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a night game. That'll probably be the ABC Saturday night game. But yeah, when I saw that, I was just like, ugh. If it's the same Indiana team, because Indiana actually has a lot going on. I know they're playing a lot tougher schedule this year because they have some big games as well. So we'll see how good they are. But yeah, if we get past the 23rd, 30th, I think we coast. I mean, as Buckeye fans, obviously, Purdue can be 0-22, but you have to take Purdue serious, or they're gonna end our season. If you want to put it in perspective, Purdue's beaten us more in the past 20 years than Michigan has.
That is true.
Like we just had a loss to them with Urban, and then we lost to them with Terrell when we were the number one team in the country.
I remember that game.
Like, and obviously in 2002, we had to throw a Hail Mary on 4th down to win the game.
Yeah.
So like Purdue is problematic. Like it's always problematic. My concern would be raised up a little bit again if it was at Purdue again at night.
Yeah. Yeah, those night games, man.
It's every time, man. Anytime we're looking at a Big Ten schedule, we try and see whose night game are we for an opponent. Because that's going to be their only night game that's on national television. It happens every time. Purdue, I mean, Iowa wasn't a night game, but it was 3:30, but it was their only like big national televised game.
Yes. That was 4 interceptions.
Oof. But this Oregon one, that's the kind of crazy too. At the beginning of the year, we're starting off a Big Ten game, and then we have it's going to be a top 10 matchup with Oregon, 12 p.m. and the shoe. Like, that's going to be good. We're going to see how CJ is because that's going to be the biggest game he's going to play in college up to this point.
Yeah. Because he's been coming in as backup some last year, but it's not like there were huge games he was coming in as a backup as. So we'll see how he fares against the pressure. First game, Big Ten game, that's going to be a tough, especially at Minnesota.
It'll be at night. Their fans are going to be there depending on what their rules are over there in Minnesota. It's going to be rocking.
Yeah,
like it's that first quarter is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, because I think Minnesota's first game last year was a night game against Michigan, which they ended up winning.
They both, yeah.
Yeah, so Minnesota, like I said, that Minnesota at night, they come to play.
So we'll see. We'll see, man. It is gonna be super interesting on Fox. Hopefully they'll have the full team calling it. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, Jenny Taft, the Fox crew. I miss when Gus used to say JK all day.
JK all day. I can't wait till he yells, Chris Olave!
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, man. And we play that Thursday, and like we talked about, us Buckeyes, we look across the country. Once that game is over Thursday, I'm pretty sure a lot of Buckeye fans Saturday night are going to be watching Clemson versus Georgia.
That game is going to end someone's season.
Because Clemson's 3 in the AP, Georgia's 5 in the AP. Clemson's 2 in the coaches. Georgia's 5 in the coaches. That's going to be a top 5 matchup. And I'm going to be frank. If Georgia loses, their season's probably going to be over. I'm just going to be frank about it because we ask if they don't. So if they go all the way if they lose to Clemson and then they make it to the SEC championship game, you're probably going to play Alabama and you're probably going to lose.
Probably.
So that's 2. You're done. But Georgia's had this thing where they lose sometimes to random teams like a South Carolina or a Florida. That's out. Texas A&M is, I feel like they're going to take that second best team in the SEC this year, but they won't beat Alabama, I don't think, but we'll see. Because Alabama, obviously, they have a new quarterback too. I mean,
Alabama's like, they just load up very well, like reload very well.
But will they be able to this year, though? They lost Waddle, Smith. They lost Patrick Surtain, the number 1 corner. They obviously lost Mac Jones. They lost Najee Harris. And all these people got drafted in the 1st and 2nd round.
That's true.
So it's like Bryce Young, who hasn't even played a snap and is already a millionaire because of name, image, and likeness, which is crazy. That's a lot of pressure, man.
Alabama does well under pressure, though.
That is true.
But they also have those random games that they lose to, like Auburn, and I think it was 2011 on that kick 6.
Well, that I can't call them random. They were the number 2 team, and they had Cam Newton.
That's also true.
But just look at Alabama. They start off the season even number 14, Miami. And then they play Mercer, but then they play Florida at Florida, 3rd game of the year.
Yeah, some big games in first 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, whoo. And then obviously they got games with Texas A&M, LSU, Auburn. And then if you're looking at, let's just pull up Georgia real quick. Like we already know they're starting off with Clemson. Then obviously they have some cakewalks after that. UAB, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Auburn. Then they'll play, they'll play Florida October 30th. So you'll have OSU, Penn State October 30th, and Georgia, Florida October 30th.
Oof.
But that's going to be the last ranked team as of right now that they played. So they made their schedule in a way that they want to get that win against Clemson and be like the number 2.
I mean, if this would be the year to do it without them having Trevor Lawrence and I can't think of that running back's name.
Travis Etienne. No, this would be
Travis.
This would be the year. And then Indiana, who we were just talking about, they're number 17, which is their highest rating like ever in a long time. But they start tough, man. Against at Iowa, the first game. Then they play on the 18th, Cincinnati.
Oof.
Then Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State. Like it's wild. But speaking of Cincinnati, this is their best chance, I think, schedule-wise, to potentially make the playoffs. They're already starting in the top 10. They're 8 in the AP, and they are 10th in the coaches. Shout out to our boy Luke Fickell.
Okay. Shout out Luke Fickell. You had a great team last year.
I mean, they
almost made it.
Here are the 2 games back to back on the 18th and October 2nd. At Indiana, at Notre Dame. That's what Cincinnati's playing back to back.
Ooh, that's it.
Yes.
They're both road games?
If Cincinnati can pull those off, you got to consider them a playoff team. I felt like they got screwed last year, but that's just me.
Oh, for sure. Well.
But think about this. Notre Dame's schedule, I don't think they're making the playoffs this year. It's too tough. And that's another team. All 4 teams that made the playoffs last year, all their quarterbacks are gone. All of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ian Book just got drafted to the Saints. Justin Fields went to the Bears.
Mac Jones.
Trevor Lawrence with the Jags,
Yep.
And
but look at this little stretch.
Yep.
Because we give respect to Purdue on this channel. So their third game will be versus Purdue. This is Notre Dame. Next game gets number 12 Wisconsin. Then from Wisconsin, Cincinnati. And then they're at Virginia Tech. But then after that, number 15, USC. And then number 10, UNC. Notre Dame set themselves in like if they win all their games, they're obviously going to be in the playoffs, but they're probably going to be out of playoff contention by October 2nd because I don't think they're beating Wisconsin and Cincinnati back to back.
That's two very tough teams.
This is going to be interesting, man. Like when I'm looking at these playoff spots, I honestly, because Clemson's schedule after Georgia is nice and easy. Like they don't play right now after Georgia. They don't play anyone ranked as of right now. So they'll probably play North Carolina in the ACC championship game because they're on opposite sides. So if things stay chalk, we'll have Clemson in the playoffs. We'll have Ohio State in the playoffs. Because we're going to say Alabama, but
Alabama.
Who's going to be that fourth as of right now, preseason?
Right now, preseason. I don't want to count out the Big 12.
As a Big 12 team right now.
For now, until 2025, I think.
Let's
say
Oklahoma's schedule out here. We don't even know who they're. If they got anyone tough. The schedule looks kind of poo. Not gonna lie. They don't have a preseason ranked game until verse 21 Texas. Yeah, their schedules. Well, they do have that number 7 Iowa State. Yes, they do. And Oklahoma
always
is known to blow a couple. So we'll see. Everyone's on the Spencer Rattler train. So they're
What is the highest ranked Pac-12 team?
Oregon.
Do you have anybody in the top 10?
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, number 11. Right.
I mean, they'd have to beat Ohio State.
With that Ohio State game, they'd
have to beat Ohio State.
They would have to beat Ohio State.
I think the second highest one is USC, which I don't know why USC is ranked because they've been trash of the past couple of years. So I don't know because currently, from Big Ten wise, Ohio State, and this is just AP. Ohio State's 4, Wisconsin's 12, Indiana 17, Iowa's 18, Penn State's 19. Just think about that, man. We just named all those teams.
Yeah.
Michigan, not even in the top 25 anymore.
I mean, they haven't really shown greatness in the last.
Oh, since we beat them off the
5-6
years. Walk off, because that was the best. That was the best hardball team they probably had. Double. Yeah. We won on the walk off.
They took us to overtime or the double overtime
or the revenge tour when they were supposed to beat us and our defense was terrible, and we hung 60 something on them. In Urban's last game against Michigan.
The revenge tour. What a year.
So, Byron, man, what are you expecting out of these Buckeyes? You're expecting Big Ten title, playoffs. We got the first game next Thursday, which you guys know what that means if you've been with us. That means every Sunday, me and Byron sit down, review the games, and then preview the next game. Okay. Do you have us losing?
I'm going to say playoffs.
Do you have us losing?
I'm not going to say national championship just yet because I want to see how the other teams do. But if our offense can do as well as we did last year, and if we can have a solid defense, way better defense than we played against Alabama, possible national championship. But I will say that I think we're going to make it to the playoffs.
I think, obviously, the Oregon, I can't even say that because the Minnesota game is going to be a coming out because it's going to be people's first time seeing him. Oregon's going to be big. And then once we get to that Indiana, Penn State, especially, if CJ Stroud is anything remotely close to what Justin, I'm not saying he's going to be better than Justice, obviously not. Justin Field only lost twice, and he lost in the semifinals and he lost in the championship. So, but if we keep plugging in these quarterbacks and they're making 40 plus touchdowns and all of that, I think we do have a shot. Obviously, it's going to depend on defense, but if CJ's tuning, who out there can stop us? Obviously, we're going to have to see the defenses across the country, but right now, there's no two corners I know off my brain, and I love college football, and I've studied this stuff a lot, who can line up one-on-one with Olave and Wilson. And that's just two of them.
That's true. That is true.
And we have young bucks who are ready to go
to the wide
receiver spot. So it's like right now, who a defense? There's no Patrick Surtain the second right now. Like, who's lining up saying, hey, you have Olave one-on-one because we can't double because Garrett Wilson's just as good.
That's true. Right off the top of my head, I don't know of anyone. But we'll see. Like you said, it's always, you just never know.
Also, if you find a way to guard them, you got Rucker, the tight end, who was balling against Clemson. So he could go, like, you have two outsides, you have in the middle. Yep. We'll see what Master Teague and what they're doing with the running backs. And if you can protect Stroud, let him get in a rhythm, like outside, middle, running back, you're going to have other slot receivers step up. Like, I'm excited because I really want to see, and Ryan Day, man, calling plays. Right. The dude, I mean, the past two quarterbacks we've had have been Heisman finalists. So, what's that? Yep. What's that tight? But, man, I'm excited. Byron, anything else for our little Buckeye preview special as we get ready for September 2nd?
Do we want to talk about the comments Jim Harbaugh made?
I mean, it's a Buckeye podcast, so that's
win or die trying.
Right to talk about your rival. But, yeah, Jim Harbaugh, I mean, it's the first time he's acknowledged Ohio State in a while. He's been getting his tail kicked. He has not won a game against OSU. Honestly, I thought they were, before the COVID year, I thought they were going to get rid of him, and I would have went for Indiana's coach. I'm not going to lie. I thought that would have been the move.
I feel like that should have been the move, but they extended him for, 5 more years for a ton of money?
But he went Big Ten Media Day.
Right.
He said, we're going to beat our rivals. We're going to die trying. So he's showing some passion. And what I want to say to Jim Harbaugh is improve it. Get to us undefeated. Do it.
I mean, I want him to prove it too. I want this to be a good rivalry game. Not that the saying the ones in the past haven't been, because there have been some moments that double overtime game, like I said, is probably his best team. But come on, show us something, Jim. Man, you got a 5-year extension. Prove it. Prove your worth.
I am
that ton of money.
I am happy though.
Right now, I ain't seeing it.
Now looking at that schedule again, that Purdue and Michigan State are back to back, but they're in Columbus. Because that is another team that Michigan State has beat us more than Michigan in the past years. Because this was prime Mike D'Antoni. We know those games were always in the balance. They're obviously doing a huge rebuild, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. But seeing that, thinking about like a 2013 through 15 schedule, I'm like, that's actually going to be rough. But prove it, Jim. Kevin Warren, obviously, they said they wouldn't have changed anything during the COVID stuff. We were right when we reported on the rumors that OSU was really looking to leave the Big Ten for just a year. So we were right on those rumors. I mean, President Christina Johnson said she said the same stuff. Gene Smith. So yeah. Anything else, Byron, before we get ready for next Thursday?
No, I think we covered it all. There's no other stone to be turned on this podcast.
What are you giving the Buckeyes record-wise right now?
Record-wise, I will love to say a perfect season.
We've seen a slip up somewhere.
But as we know, there's always a trap game.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, was it 12 games this year? I'm going to say if we do slip up, 11-1. Otherwise, I hate to say 12-0. I'm just going to say 11-1.
Right now, I'm gonna come back with it after we do our Maryland review. I think we're gonna get to Maryland 6-0, and then depending on how Indiana and Penn State go, if we get past both of those, we're going 12-0 the Big Ten. Because I think that will be the spot where we would lose a game.
I agree.
Especially,
yeah.
I need to know if the Indiana game is at night. That's what I need to know. Because it's at Indiana. I need to know if it's at 12 or it's at 8. And people, if you know college football, that makes a huge difference. I need to know if it's nationally televised.
It does. You would think that it didn't make a difference, but oh my God, those night games.
Because if Indiana beats Notre Dame, we're going to have to really think.
I feel like if both Ohio State and Indiana are ranked in the top 10, I feel like it would be a night game.
Oh, God. Then we're going to have then that preview is going to be, oh, boy. We have a long way to go for that, but if you've watched Ohio State as long as we have, you just know the patterns. And October 23rd to 30th, we're going to have to watch out.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
With that being said, thank you, everyone, for listening to the L7C podcast. Y'all take care. First time we get to say this, go Bucks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.